Hello, I'm Jeff McNeil, and this is my review of the Trials of Mana remake. Mana, the source of the world's life and magic, is beginning to fade, and with it monsters are returning in great numbers, and kingdoms are at war for what little remains. As one of 6 chosen heroes, you travel with Fairy and 2 other companions in order to gather the power of mana, open the mana sanctuary, and gain the power of the goddess to save the world. But with so much of the world's mana gone, everyone's trying for a piece of it. From humans to beasts to mages and even beings from beyond the world, everyone's trying to reach the sanctuary and claim the power for themselves. The story is not spectacular. It is definitely a product of its age, as it is a remake of an old SNES game that was only recently re-released in English. There are moments where the story is rough. It's not bad, but you can definitely tell that they're being loyal to the script even at the detriment of the story itself, and I don't hate that. There is a lot of new story elements, a lot of new text, a lot of new voice acting added to it to expand the story, but this is definitely an SNES RPG, and they've kept it very loyal to the source. Graphically, it's not super impressive. It is bright and colorful and cartoony. You're not getting a lot of detail on faces or monsters or environments or anything of that nature. But it is incredibly loyal to the source. They've translated the characters and environments and monsters to 3D very, very well. Obviously, the character designs look absolutely ridiculous, but it's completely faithful to the original, and yeah, I kinda love it. Tiny little paper hats and all. In terms of sound effects, once again, this is really, really decent. There's, using magic and skills and different abilities all get appropriate sound effects added to them. And it's nothing particularly special. You can definitely tell that they have taken a little more liberties with the sound effects than they have anything else, as far as changing things up. Music is spectacular. Music is one of the Mana series' greatest strengths, and Trials of Mana has a really good soundtrack. And the remake is really good. I mean, if you don't like the remake versions of the songs, you can always just go into the options and turn it back to its original form, which is just fine. I mean, it's a great soundtrack whether you like the original music or the remade. So, yeah, definitely good. Now, voices. Voices are rough. Some characters are decent enough. My main character, Angela, she's not bad. She's got this, sassy teenager thing going on. You've got other characters, like Charlotte, who's Charlotte. Yeah, it's pretty bad in places. If you don't have a lot of resistance to really cringy voice acting is bad. Luckily, you can turn the voices off, but just be aware you are getting a very mixed bag here. Now, gameplay is such a massive overhaul from the original. I've recently played through the Trials of Mana SNES version on the Mana Collection, and I genuinely hated every minute of it. It was a really terrible experience in my opinion. It didn't do anything as good as Secret of Mana, and you could definitely tell where the Legend of Mana stuff would eventually be inspired, but it was not there. It was incredibly broken and incredibly bad. It was just bad. But the remake fixes everything. I'm not actually kidding about it. It is an action RPG where you have a basic ground combo with your quick attack, a charge attack, and you get certain different combos with different effects. And as you progress through the game, the amount of combos you can do actually increases. And because it is an action game that actually takes the effort to make things matter, there's actual strategy and positioning involved. Enemies will get like red reticules showing where spells and attacks are going to be. Some of them are very fast, some of them are really huge, and you have to time your dodges and arrange things very carefully. The original game, there was one strategy: face tank. Because every attack was undodgeable, it simply came down to a matter of, can you out damage the enemy before you run out of healing items? That's literally all it was. Every boss, every encounter was the exact same. Every enemy would just bum rush you, and you would just stand there and tank it with your face. But with the addition of like MMO style reticules, with the ability to jump and attack in various formations, there's so much more interesting gameplay. Now, depending on your characters and your classes, which you eventually unlock, you can gain various class abilities and spells. These are also greatly improved from the original. Now, they're not as spammable. Your class skills are nowhere near as spammable as they were in the original, but they are very powerful, and once again, as you progress, you get more and more of them. Magic works much the same way. In some ways, it's even more spammable than the original, but in other ways it's not, because you can't pause buffer things. That was something that you could do in the original. You can't do it here. But you do have like a quick option menu allowing you to take your favorite spells or items and make it so you can cast them at the drop of a hat. It's really hard to describe all the positive changes that have happened to the gameplay. It's a lot more balanced, it's a lot more interesting. Characters now actually have stats that work. The stats didn't work very well in the original. And now when you put stats into your 5 different areas, you unlock a combination of active, passive, and stat boosting abilities. And every character in every class has these. So you can't just pump everything into like intelligence with Angela anymore. That will only get you a couple elements of spells. So your characters are a lot more rounded, and with all the different abilities you unlock, it can be a lot of fun. Some you get from, different skills. Some you get from stories and bosses, and you can equip these passive abilities. It's really kind of awesome, the different things you can do. When I played through the original Trials of Mana, I swore I would never play it again. It had terrible game balance. Attacks were undodgeable. Enemies would have a counter system that if you used a spell or class skill on them, they would counterattack with undodgeable moves that would probably kill you in one hit. The entire thing was just a royal mess. But I genuinely love this combat system. I love the gameplay. I love what they've done with classes. You can now preview classes. It's no longer a blind pick. So you can kind of see, you know, do I want to go light or do I want to go dark? This is everything I could have asked them to change as far as gameplay was concerned. This is a straight upgrade to the original. This isn't a alternative to the original. This is just better. The gameplay is better. The balance is better. The classes are better. The story is better. There's more story here. There's brand new content. This is everything I could have possibly wanted out of this remake. In conclusion, if you've played the Trials of Mana on the Mana Collection or in an emulator or something and weren't thrilled with it, play this game. It is such a massive improvement. And if you've never played Trials of Mana or a Mana game at all, I would highly recommend this game. It is a great action RPG, very traditional, very fun, lots of customization. I mean, there are 6 characters to choose from. You pick 3 of them, and each one of them can have up to, 8 or 9 different classes? And you have abilities to respec, allowing you to, make up for mistakes. Equipment, shops, everything has been streamlined and cleaned up. It's just... this is probably the closest we've gotten to a perfect Mana game. And it gives me a lot of hope that maybe we will see Legends of Mana re-released at some point. I highly doubt we'll ever get that remade because that is a completely different kind of beast. But if they can give us a game like this, it really gives me hope for the Mana series. And it's been a long time coming. Because the Secret of Mana remake was bad. This is amazing. If you love Mana, if you love action RPGs, if you want something really traditional and clean that also modernizes things with a whole bunch of different customization, then get the Trials of Mana remake. I mean, this is amazing. And I'm going to play through this multiple times. So this has been Jeff McNeil. Thank you for joining me. I will see you next time.